14 degrees here, so it's 1 to 2 cardigan weather, not 3 or 4.
Yes, very good.
Much warmer than it was last year, surprisingly.
That's good, isn't it? I remember going to Florence in Italy in February one year, and the people who'd been the week before said, "Oh, it's lovely, sunny, t-shirt weather," and so we went expecting that, and we had to wear all of our clothes simultaneously every day because it was so cold. So, weather can move, can't it?
It can. One does look rather rotund when one's got a.
Be prepared, Nicola. Dib, dib, dib. Be prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think last winter was indelibly etched on my memory, Judith. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Morning.
Hello, how are you?
I was early, but I thought I was late.
Yeah.
So until I figured it out, I was having a heart attack.
It's totally surreal, isn't it?
I know. There's me trying to be all efficient as well, but hey, we can but try, Judith.
What's so funny is when you send me questions with wording such as, will we revert today to our normal time of 9 o'clock when we've never ever done it at 9 o'clock? That's the thing that freaks me. It's like, oh my God. She's living in a parallel universe to me.
We've always known that, though, haven't we?
We have always known that. We have, yes.
How was your week? While I get over this.
Well, I've got a lot of things to say about my week, actually, and any of them could just as easily go into Fueled Your Fire. So this first two sections are all a bit of a ramble from me, but it's cracking along very nicely now. Actually, we're recording this on the 11th of January, and I found it impossible to get. I always do find it really hard to get back to work after Christmas, and I'm very reluctant the first day. Last Friday, which was the 5th, was the first group call that I had with Small Business Big Magic, and suffice to say our internet went down, so I wasn't even able to do that. We had to buy a new router. Yeah, I had to buy a new router. So what was intended to be the 5th was then delayed until the 8th, and I wasn't really in the mood on Monday the 8th. But Tuesday the 9th, I had a cracking day, and yesterday, Wednesday the 10th as well. And I'm doing this 90-day Creating the Impossible thing with Michael Neal, which I'm making all about being a writer, and I'm enjoying that very much. On Tuesday, the first giant killing day of 2018, I felt much better than I had for ages. And I'm back to my lower than a pre-Christmas weight, which is wonderful. Ooh. And achieved largely because I felt unwell and hadn't really eaten for 2 days, Sunday and Monday. But who cares why? My left knee has been very painful for about a month, and it felt more flexible on that day. And feeling better and feeling in less pain and seeing the numbers you want to see on the scale, that's a sort of great way to start the day. And it made me feel more able to do more. And what else happened? I had a potential new client call with a London-based underwear business lady who'd in her 20s who'd found me via Google. Yeah. And I realised what?
In her 20s, wow.
Yes, and also I realised afterwards I was able to recommend in a follow-up email buying the book, because I found myself teaching her lots of the content in answer to questions about, saying no and keeping on track and finding clarity and all that sort of thing. And typically, because when you have a good day and you achieve a lot and you've got a high vibe, lots of interesting opportunities came in. For instance, I got an email from a platform called Skillshare. Do you know Skillshare?
Yeah.
It's a video teaching platform, and they asked me, did I want to be one of their video teachers, which I think is worth looking at for somebody like you, because the what do you call it? Test case, the test study they showed me as an example, is somebody who has achieved through Skillshare what we all want, which is hundreds of followers and lots of passive income, because you make the videos and then they're sold. I think you do it for free, but you're cutting on anyway. I don't know, but I asked them some clarifying questions, because obviously I'm not a teacher, and I wouldn't want to teach it on head to video. But so it's probably not going to work for me. But nice to be asked. And then somebody else asked, did I want them to recommend me for a podcast? Yes, please. I just generally felt better to be back doing client working and making difference to the lives of others, basically. And yesterday, I got 4 or 5 cracking new questions of book number 2, and I had an idea for book number 3. But I probably need some help with that. So that's not really one thing about my week. It's rather a lot of things about my week.
That's really marvellous. The thing that occurs to me about the book is that you've got a fantastic qualifier there, because if you have a call with someone and they ask you lots of questions that are in the book, you can answer them in person, and then obviously you can't cram too much into an hour, so you can then send them a link to buy the book. And if someone can't or won't buy a book for whatever it is you're charging, that's a good qualifier, isn't it? Because if they won't invest in themselves, $10 or whatever it is, then they'll go away having had a lovely call with you, and that's the end of the story. But if anyone who's half interested in working with you will buy the book.
In theory, I agree with you. But yesterday, an interesting thing happened when I said to my Ask Judith group, which technically is, going forward, is only for people who've bought the book. Obviously, it wasn't initially, because I had to set up a little community so that when the book buyers came, there was something in there. Yeah. But from now on, since December the 1st onwards, it's only been for people who've bought the book. And I asked in there, I said to them, I'm ready to write book 2, let me have your questions. And 2 out of the 4 or 5 corkers that I got, actually, I think only 2 came from that group. I think the other 2 came from client calls I'd done this week. Anyway, 2 of them came to me via private message, not in the group, from people I know who were in that group before, who haven't necessarily bought a book. But the answers to the questions they were asking me were in the book. And one of them at least had read them, and I gave her the answer again. And then she sent me another question, and I went, to which which I've already addressed in the book. Yes, she goes. So the interesting thing is people are still consuming information and not changing their lives as a result of information. They still think the answer is to read more books, study more content, not to implement any of it.
Yeah, and also they possibly feel that they are different. So even though you've written the answer in the book, they probably feel that they need a different answer.
Well, no, these were quite simple ones, honestly, they were.
Oh, okay.
They were quite simple ones. Who on earth would buy from me? See question 45 or whatever it was, And I know it's an intelligent woman who's all ready to buy the book. And, that's just a neurosis, which some of us feel some of the time.
I regularly get an email from a lady who I've talked about before, I think, on the podcast, where she's invented a food brand which looks absolutely fantastic, and she actually rebranded it and it looks even better. But she's sunk every single penny she has on inventing this food brand, and she's got not a penny left for marketing. And she regularly contacts me and asks me to take a look at her website, give her feedback. What could she do to market her business? And I regularly give her the same answers and then invite her to join the mentoring membership, where I can, Click Sneeze Academy, where I can help her more. And then she goes away again. Yeah. And she doesn't join, and she doesn't put into action any of the things. I
was chatting to Alice yesterday, who's brought forward our focus of the week question today. Oh. And I said, you're in the top half, or she's in the top 5 or 10% of the top half of my clients, because we've been working together for 3 or 4 years, and she puts her head down and gets on with it, and her results reflect that. And it's such a simple thing. Show up, turn up, do the work, year on year, compare results, and you can't help but improve. Instead of which some people, and I love them for this, but it's so difficult, perhaps the other call I had yesterday was somebody who's still mired in preparatory / emotional work as opposed to doing the work. We've got to kind of do the work anyway, haven't we?
Yes, no matter how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, on bad days, no, but on good days, yes. And maybe if you just start with something in the morning, a bad day might turn into a good day. It's difficult.
And even when I'm having a mere day, as Sarah called it on her blog post recently,
Yeah.
I try and get one thing done. But, even if I'm not feeling like it, if you just do one thing, A, it moves you one step forward, and B, it makes you feel better.
Well, I've realised talking to you now of a decision I've already made, but it's reminded me of the need to make it. I'm going to make 52 blog posts and 52 tiny videos of each of the 52 questions. And every time somebody asks me the question where that's the answer, bang, see the video or read the blog post and just implement the answer.
Yes, and then come back to me when you've implemented the answer, because
yes,
we used to do this in the Money Gym. Do you remember? We used to make people jump through a few hoops.
Well, I tell you where that idea comes from. It comes from that really nice book, The 1 Minute Millionaire, where Michelle has to ask 3 times before she's given unto. There is in Greek mythology, in all tales, as you know from your story writing arc thing, you have to often ask more than once. The door isn't always opened on the first go. But I need to see my client knocking on the door as well a bit.
Yes, absolutely.
And my point about Alice is, if you knock on the door repeatedly for 4 years, you open the door to a palace at the end of it.
Yeah, that's very true. So, shall I tell you about my week?
Yes, please.
Okay. It's been a catch-up week. I'm still trying to catch up, because even though I had all the technology available in Hove, thanks to the marvellous Katie, the conductor lady, there was still lots of demands on my time, not least hanging out with Phoebes and Nelson, which doesn't actually produce anything but makes me feel very happy.
And what's the point of being there?
Exactly. Yeah. So I've got recordings to catch up. I've got editing to catch up. Luckily, they're 2 things I love doing. I've been fixing tolerations, Judith. You know that always. I'd sort of hoped this would happen. When you start focusing on just one thing, which I still am, you'll be amazed to hear, it gives you time, doesn't it? It gives you time that you're not spending creating new stuff all the time and writing new content and doing all those things you have to do when you start something new. So I've been fixing tolerations. Things like my iPhone wouldn't go landscape when I turned it sideways, and it's taken me quite a lot of Googling to find the way to fix that. And lots of little things like that. My camera kept getting full up of video, and I didn't know how to just wipe it in one hit. I was having to wipe 2 or 3 and then record a bit more, and go little tolerations like that. And we all know how good fixing tolerations is. It makes you feel completely freed up, doesn't it?
Mm.
It does. I've started writing an email a day. One of the things in Fuel by Fire, I'll tell you about in a minute. But the outcome of it is that I want to contact my mailing list every single day instead of once a week, which is what I have been doing. And I was thinking about the people, it sounds a lot, but I was thinking about the people who I love to hear from, yourself included. And Michael Wilding is another one, and Neil Asher is another one. Both of those send an email a day. They're always nicely written, they're entertaining, there's a little lesson in them, but they're stories, basically. So I was thinking it'd be good for my writing muscle if I wrote an email a day. I'm committed to a month, and I'll see how I go. And there's no selling in them, but what it does do is give me the opportunity to put a link to join the membership with just one. And then it gives me the opportunity, I realise, to have what Dean Jackson calls a mega signature. And we've talked about this a little bit, haven't we? Perhaps we ought to talk about it a bit more in another episode. But that gives me an opportunity to flag up whatever I'm focusing on right this red hot second. So that's why I'm doing it. And I've told everyone in my mailing list what I'm doing. And I'm making sure that it's only going to people who've been through my membership launch sequence twice. So not everyone's going to get a daily email, and clients certainly won't. But they'll see it because it goes into my membership site automatically through the blog post thing. The blog post sync. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm also... I had a meeting yesterday with the ladies, the writing ladies, and we planned out our next 5. We're having a day next week to record our next 5 podcasts. So we're doing that once a month because that's the easiest way to get everyone together, because they do go backwards and forwards quite a lot from England. So that's my week. It's been thoroughly enjoyable, and I'm glad to be back. It's nice, and it's 14 degrees here, so it's 1 to 2 cardigan weather, not 3 or 4.
Yes, very good.
Much warmer than it was last year, surprisingly.
That's good, isn't it? I remember going to Florence in Italy in February one year, and the people who'd been the week before said, "Oh, it's lovely, sunny, t-shirt weather." And so we went expecting that, and we had to wear all of our clothes simultaneously every day because it was so cold. So, weather can move, can't it?
It can. One does look rather rotund when one's got a 7.
Be prepared, Nicola. Dib, dib, dib. Be prepared.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think last winter is indelibly etched on my memory, Judith. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
what's fueled your fire then?
Well, as I said, any that I told you before could have gone in here, but what I've chosen to put in here is that for some unknown reason, I think I found a note in my notebook reminding me that I wanted to upload some or all eventually of my Lumen 5 videos to my YouTube channel. I've no idea why I'm doing it, but I got it started and I've done 11 of them, and it'll be easier to do them as I go because I couldn't really remember what any of them were about, so keywording was quite difficult. Yeah. But once they're up there, they're quite nicely tweetable. And they are automatically shared on Google+, which of course we know is meaningless, but you never know. I haven't done the podcast ones yet because I wasn't sure if we have our own YouTube channel, and if not, I'll simply upload them to mine or my other one. I seem to have two profiles at YouTube. I'm not quite sure why.
Talk to Sarah about that. She's very good at puzzling out things like that.
I don't think the podcast has its own YouTube channel, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay, all right. Then I'll stick them on mine is the answer to that. Yeah, so that's it. I'm slowly getting back into the Lumen 5 thing. I had to do a little one yesterday. You get out of the habit of things and it just seems a bit of a faff to get back on the horse sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah. So what's fueled my fire is that I'm populating my YouTube channel with content.
Fancy that. Fancy
that. Yes. I'm fairly sure I'm going to upload them and ignore them, but you never know, do you?
Well, the thing is, even if you do upload them and ignore them, if you know how to do keyword things, so that's all good. And they just work away in the background, bringing you new people, lovely, delicious strangers that you.
I noticed they didn't much in the first 48 hours, but never mind.
No, they won't. It'll take a while. And the thing is, if you put them in a playlist of their own, that's really nice because it means when someone watches one, it automatically plays the next one they haven't watched.
Okay.
Which is very nice and you've got to remember, people have got YouTube on their TVs now. So I regularly watch YouTube videos on my TV when
I've watched more YouTube videos on my iPad recently as well because there's been nothing on the telly.
Yeah, exactly. So and once you get into a role, if I enjoyed, I watched back-to-back Casey Neistat videos for hours when I was last winter.
Yeah, well, you need to get out more. Tell me what's fueled your fire.
Well, it's something very dull. You won't like it at all.
Okay.
I've given my Infusionsoft funnels a complete overhaul. I drew it out.
Wait a minute. Let me write this down. Infusionsoft funnels complete overhaul. I mean, that does sound like, I don't know, drilling teeth, doesn't it?
I know. Well, it's a bit like drilling teeth. I had lots of entry points into my Infusionsoft funnel. And I wanted to make sure that all entry points ended up at the same point where people were invited to tell me, segmentation, survey and segmentation. And then I wanted them to go on to a nurture sequence. And then I wanted them to go into a launch sequence for the membership, saying the membership's open. And then I wanted them to go into another nurture sequence. And I had it all in my head what I wanted to happen. So I had to draw it out on paper, which is always a good way to plan your funnels. And then I went in very slowly and looked at each of the segments of my funnel in Infusionsoft. They're called sequences. And I wanted to make sure that each one was A, self-contained, B, tagging people in and out, so this person's in this sequence right now, and then C, that they got the tag that said OK to mail daily. That was the driver for this. Because I didn't want to be mailing daily people who were already getting a sequence that was selling them into the membership or nurturing them or, doing another purpose. So, so I'm very, very pleased with myself that I've done that because it did take a couple of days. And I now know that everyone, no matter where they come from, is coming in and going through the same funnel.
And what are you going to do with yourself when you've fixed all your tolerations and all the things like my iPhone and my videos and my funnels? What are you going to do?
Writing my book, won't I?
Ah, yes, okay.
we had a good laugh yesterday at Write Club saying that we're all prevaricating horribly on actually writing our books by doing this podcast and various other things. And now, we're going to get to the point where in the podcast we have to read out loud our work in progress. And that'll force us to actually write something.
Yes. Well, not a bad system that. But I as I did say in my book, I'm not a procrastinator, but when writing a book, you discover hitherto unplumbed depths of prevarication.
I know. It's really very strange. Here at Own It, we personally believe that leaders are readers, but sometimes it's just not convenient to read and you'd rather listen instead. For listeners of Own It the podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. couple of titles we've picked out for you particularly are Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg or Crush It, Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vaynerchuk. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/own it. Again, that's audibletrial.com/own it for your free audiobook. You can pick one of the ones I've chosen for you, or you can choose something else. Enjoy your listen. Good. So let's talk about your client's challenge then.
Yeah, somebody just asked me about Kajabi for membership content, and I seem to remember, it caused me a bit of a shudder, because I seem to remember that it was one of about 3 options we tried in the Money Gym, and it's quite clunky. I'm imagining it's been updated, but I can do membership site stuff on my 22 social, which costs me $197 a year, and Kajabi was being offered at $103 a month, I think. And I knew, or I thought I knew, that you did yours on your app. Is that right?
I've got quite a lot of sale memberships.
Yes, well, we've got there's and of course in 2018 there are loads of modern ways around it. So you talk is not really my area of expertise.
Okay, so the thing to think about now is there's a concept called Own the Racecourse, which James Schramko talks about, which means that you have everything that everything to do with your business on medium that is under your control. So there are lots of ways to do membership sites, and it really depends on whether you've got a content heavy membership site or whether you've got a discussion heavy membership site, and you can have a combination of the two. So,
yeah.
And I want to say that the optimum goal for everyone who's got a business that involves a membership site is to have it on your own medium. So on your own server, under your control. Nobody can switch it off. Nobody can change the rules. Nobody can start making you pay for something that you're not, you're getting for free. So that's the ultimate goal. Having said that, I spent quite a bit of time after Christmas thinking about my overheads. As you know, I mentioned it to you. And 2 of my biggest overheads are my hosting for my membership site and the actual software for my membership site. It was a one-off payment for the software, and then I pay an amount of about $70 or $80 a month for automatic upgrades and little jobs. So Dave, who installed it, was about $700, $800 to install it on my hosting, which I paid about $80 for. And then there's another $80 odd for little jobs and upgrades. But Dave is absolutely fantastic. I mean, for example, if I want to add a new product and deliver it through my membership site, he will just go in and set that up for me in Infusionsoft and on the forum. So he's worth his weight in gold, this guy. But I was considering going back to real basics, which I think is a sales page or a sales webinar, an order form that's hooked up to your mailing list, and a Facebook group. But then I remembered how appallingly difficult it is to find anything useful in Facebook groups. So I knew it would up my workload dramatically. And the other thing about Facebook groups is the discussions, you can never find them again. So if there's a discussion on a particular topic, you're scuppered because finding it again is going to be really impossible. So I decided not to go back to basics myself because I didn't want an added workload, and I want it all to, it's all working beautifully now, and it would save me a couple of $100, but really that is 2 members for me. And
am I right that when you talk about your forum, it is on the app, or is it on some named type of software?
Yes, it's on Zenforo, which is Xenforo.
Okay.
And that is a very robust forum software that's got lots of lovely plugins. You can do lots with it. I'm not doing hardly anything with it. You can make it look how you like, and it sits on Liquid Web hosting. So I have to have separate hosting for it because all my websites, which are actually becoming very much less in number, I must say, are on WP Engine, which is the fastest WordPress hosting, but it doesn't let you do forums. So don't get too bogged down in the actual software, though. Let's still carry on talking about the concepts. You access my forum via the app on your mobile phone, but that you can access the forum without the app. The app was a nice to have. Come back to the concept, though. If I was starting again, I would start small and I would sell the memberships first. So I would send people to a sales page or a webinar. I would have a method of them signing up to a recurring billing, which i.e. PayPal would work for this right now. And I would have some kind of integration with a mailing list. So that is actually all you need. Oh, and have a Facebook group. The problem with having a Facebook group is once people get used to interacting with each other as a Facebook group, as a forum, discussion medium, if you like.
They don't want to lose it, do they?
They don't want to move it. No, they don't want to come off it at all.
No.
So what's the next option without you spending pots of money? The next option is to have use something like, there's some medium level software, which is Optimized Press is very cheap. Do you remember we had an Optimized Press membership site at one point? And that sits on your WordPress, and it's Optimized Press and WP Wishlist are two ways you can have membership sites on your.
Oh yes, I have WP Wishlist. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Right. Well, Wishlist is the gateway, if you like. It controls people get access to your content, and your content just sits on your WordPress pages.
Yeah.
So you have WordPress pages that are protected by Wishlist.
Yes.
Optimized Press does a similar kind of thing, but I'd look at just Wishlist and WordPress to start with. Now, if you want a forum option that isn't a Facebook group, because we know that people don't like moving off Facebook groups later on, I'd have BB Press, which is a free bit of software that is a plug-in to WordPress, and you can protect the index page of that through your WP Wishlist or Optimized Press, whichever you're using gateway.
Okay. So
that's sort of mid-level. I'm at the top level. I've got Infusionsoft, Zen4o, and so I could use Zen4o without Infusionsoft, and I could manually let people in and out. So as their cards bounced or didn't renew or whatever, I could lock them out. But my Infusionsoft does it all completely automatically and then sends follow-up emails accordingly. So I'm reluctant to dismantle all that, even though it's $2 or $3, it's probably about $400 a month overhead in total, which is quite significant. It's one of my biggest expenses. But I'm not willing to give up the automation that I've got set up for that. Now, what else? I've made lots of notes about this. There are external options like Teachable, Thinkific, and Kajabi. Yeah. Kajabi's had a massive. We did use Kajabi in the early days because I was very excited about it. It looked very sexy. It was lovely for the user. The user interface was fantastic, but it simply didn't work. There were so many bugs in it at the beginning, which I know they fixed subsequently, but I'd gone off it by then. I'd had enough. I'd spent enough time trying to get it to work, and they kept denying it wasn't working. And when a software doesn't work intuitively, I go right off it. I've watched one of my Justin Brooke, who we interviewed. Yes. Yeah. Very, very bright chap. I've watched him move all his courses into Thinkific. I've watched him bring them out and put them onto Teachable. I'm not sure what he's on now. I think he's on some sort of bespoke solution. So the fact that he very swiftly moved all through those hosted solutions means to me that they're not as good as they need to be. Okay. Perhaps they're good enough. And the other two options, of course, are Thrive Architect. It used to be just Thrive, which was an umbrella company for things like Thrive order form, Thrive landing pages. So it used to be something that had lots of little solutions. They've rolled it all together now into Thrive Architect, and that is very good. I've heard lots of people speak very highly of that. There's also Active Campaign, which I think is a combined mailing list host, membership site, and affiliate program. So that's all rolled into one as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's one called ClickFunnels that's supposed to have all of the functionality. But two people I know have recently set themselves up on ClickFunnels, and there were some major problems with affiliate tracking. So if you're thinking of getting affiliates to recommend your membership site, I wouldn't go to ClickFunnels route right now. Okay. Again, things get upgraded, they get improved. So the other thing to talk about is how to sell a membership, because it isn't as easy as people think.
I don't think that's the problem in this example. People are gagging for it, and the testing has been done. But no, I agree, and I always go back to, and I think the matter in hand qualifies for this, but Sue O'Kell always used to say, it's better to have a continuity program which has a beginning and an end date than an ever ongoing membership club, because people are anxious about the outgoing $67 for all of their lives, you know.
Yeah, they are. And really what she's saying there was what I was about to go on to say, which is it's much easier to sell a membership if you've got a signature product or a signature course that has a fixed thing. And I'm thinking now of, as my membership site sells from the website, about 3% of the people who actually see the membership's open page. But interestingly, I was encouraged by my mentor to put a 1 year recurring billing on it.
Yeah.
And I said, nobody's going to, spend $500 when they can spend $79. And he said, well, you'll be amazed. So just put it on there and try it.
Yeah.
And everybody now, nearly 85% of the people who sign up for my membership site are doing it on annual billing.
Yeah.
Which I find absolutely fascinating.
Well, it's only because it's not your way of doing it, you see, and that's such a good reminder, isn't it, for all of us, is that the way we all do it isn't necessarily the way other people want it to be done.
Yeah. So if it was me, I'd sign up for a month, see if I get any use out of it, see if I get a good value out of it, and then I'd sign up for a year. But people seem to want to make the buying decision, put it on presumably a credit card, and think to themselves, oh, well, my credit card will be out of date by next year anyway. I don't know what they're thinking.
One of the earliest learnings I had about this was how many people took money off deposit account to get remember we used to do this as well, if you pay it all in advance, you get 10 for the price of 12, or whatever it was. Most people went for that, or a goodly number of people went for it. People who were sort of financially savvy do that.
Yeah. Well, I had a 50% discount on my membership last year. On a membership, I think it was $79, then it went to $97, and you got 50% off if you signed up for a year, which was obviously very attractive for serious players who know they wanted to join. This year, I'm at $147, and I've got a 30% discount, and I'm just waiting to see if it carries on converting at 3%, because if it does, I'll be a happy lady. But it's actually really a good idea to have a signature product, and this is my Be Everywhere online course. And then you give people access to your membership site for, say, 3 months to get support for your course, which is, so that's nice, because you can say, okay, it's 3 months at $147. That's a bonus. You get access to my membership site as a bonus for buying this product. And that's how you access your support. The issue then comes when, at the end of 3 months, when they want to still have access to their content, but they don't now get access to the rest of your content. So all my content's in one membership course. If you sign up for one thing, you get everything. But Dave the Whiz has just fixed this so that after 3 months, they only get access to a certain part of the forum. So they carry on getting access to their content.
I don't know if you...
So yes, it is possible to create a membership site where people get access to the content, they get access to your support for a certain period of time, and then after that they just get access to the content if they don't then sign up to carry on. So yeah, the software's very good. And also the other thing.
Which software is very good? That I didn't hear that.
Lots of different softwares can do that functionality. The other bit of functionality, the other thing to think about is that people don't want to come into a membership course and find their way about. So it's a membership site and find their way about. What they want is to have a pathway laid out for them. So, for example, people come into my membership site, there's a new members area, start here. And I recommend that they start, if they've got a website, they can go straight to Be Everywhere Online. If they haven't got a website yet and they want to just work with a Facebook page and the minimum viable technology, then I tell them to start with my Fast Start Masterclass. So I lay out a path for them. And I think if you can lay out a path for people for at least 3 months, what should you focus on first, then they are much more likely to stay on. And I have got a stonking retention in my membership site. It's, obviously I don't know the annual figures yet, but my month by month retention is way past the 3 month average of most membership sites.
Very good.
I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say on memberships.
I realise there's something I don't know, which is quite a lot of things that you talked about there, like being locked out when your payment doesn't work, and all that kind of stuff. I know my 22 Social does. What I don't know about my 22 Social thing is where the content is held, because if it comes back to my own website, then that qualifies at $197 a year. Also, my favorite ever experience of using one of these was when I worked with John Williams in the 30-day challenge, and he used Ning. And originally, our favourite Canadian-Australian who's now in Europe, Entrepreneur's Journey, what's his name? Yarrow.
Oh, Yarrow.
He had everything on that, and then he moved it off it as well. And there was a period of time, John said, where Ning were not investing in their technology. And I've just been to have a look at it now, whilst that's how I got myself lost. It looks good again, but again, I suspect that's a hosted solution, but it was so usable for delivery of content and as a forum and as a social network, actually.
And Ning actually uses software that's it's PHP software, which is very similar to Zenforo, which I use.
Okay. I really liked Ning on both. It was so easy, and I was permanently logged in. What I hated having to do, and our clients did as well in the olden days, and I don't think you have to do it anymore, is go to a place where you have to remember your login, and it's different from where you are most of the time. Do you know what I mean?
But all membership site software has got a little box to say, remember me. And the people who have to keep logging in haven't clicked that little box, or what they've done is they've cleared their cookies for some reason. Say, I don't know, they've been prompted to clear their cookies by their browser, and that undoes all your logins.
Yes.
So it's often easily fixed that irritation. But
yeah.
Coming back to your lockout, locking people out if the card will be retried 3 times if it's out of date or hasn't got any money in, it'll be declined, and you should be automatically locked out of the content but they should also get emails following up and letting them know what's happened. So it's important that your membership site software integrates with your email host so that those emails can go out. And it's also important that your stuff is hosted somewhere where they can't get access to it if they stop paying. So that would be just something to investigate in the help section of your 22 Social. I'm sure they've got it.
They can't. Yes, that's what I'm saying about they can't. Can
we just talk about this because it's interesting? Is all your content hosted within Facebook then, or is it hosted? I
haven't got any content because I haven't got a membership site.
Oh, right.
But it has the capacity to do that, and one of my clients has bought it specifically for that purpose.
Oh. Well, I'll be interested to hear how she gets on, because I am very keen on people getting started with easy, affordable solutions.
Yeah.
Selling the benefits of a membership site, as I say, is the hardest thing. It's everyone thinks the software is the hardest thing, what to use. But actually, no, it's finding a way to sell the benefits of belonging. And people, there's a saying: people come for the product and stay for the community. But you have to get the offer right, whether that's a product offer or a community offer. And if you can compel people to join, because they feel they're missing out if they don't, then you're away. And of course, the obvious benefit is if you can get 16,000 people giving you £5 a month, you're onto $1 million a year, and any combination of that. So you don't actually need that many people to make a very nice recurring living, and that just saves people from having to go through this launch process all the time, which is so exhausting. Well, not that we find it so, but a lot of people do that launch thing. A lot of people go to membership masterminds that I go to are still stuck in that boom and bust launch cycle.
Ghastly.
Yeah, absolutely. So recurring billing is the way forward, everyone, but you can do it simply. Do you think that's helped your client?
Yes, I think that's a lot of choices. Well, more choices than anybody could need, but she has a strong streak of mechanics, so she'll enjoy researching it, I think. And all the clients in Club 100, well, not all the clients, but the consensus in Club 100 was don't start spending money like 103 on Kajabi until you've, had a soft launch.
Start with, all you need to start is a page or a webinar, a PayPal recurring subscription button, and some sort of email thing that you can.
She already knows it's going to go well, and she wants to automate it. She's done the research section, and we know there's demand, and she wants to automate it as soon as possible, because actually there's a surprising amount of work involved in something like this, as you and I both know, because we've done it several times. So for instance, on that thing where you said people's PayPal cards, they get an email. I get an email too when my client's card bounces, and they're on a recurring billing, and I always follow up with them, because I think personal service is as important as anything. And you remember the reason we liked Kajabi was because it had a submit a help ticket. I don't think any of my clients want to submit a help ticket. They want personal service. So I provide it.
Yeah, and I'm able to do that as well. People are always astonished when I reply, when they email me and say, they want something, or they haven't got it.
I always say, when your card bounces, say, don't worry, this happens all of the time. It's probably that you've gone past your renewal date. Yeah.
So how to decide? Let's just talk very quickly about that, and we can move on. How to decide? I would say it depends. If you already have a big community of people who want to get closer to you, then I would not start small. I would go straight for some automated hosted option. But if you don't, I would start small and sell it first, and use literally PayPal and a Facebook group to start with. But just be aware that if it grows fast, you need to invest in someone to set it up for you. And whether you want it to be content driven, like lots and lots of how-to videos, or whether you want it to be a forum, or whether you want a combination of both, will probably dictate which software you go with.
Yeah, hers is a combination.
Okay. So she could do it with WordPress, or she could do it with something like Zen4.0, or she could go to something like Thrive Architect. What's next then? Word of the week.
You go first.
Storytelling, because I'm obsessed with it right now. And I'm finding that every time I sit down with a blank bit of paper to write my daily email for tomorrow, I'm able to just think about something that's happened to me, or something I've read about, or I read an article about depression the other day that turned into an email about meaningful work, and I'm on a roll with the storytelling.
I think storytelling is all the rage. I've got quite a lot of clients who work in it and encourage their clients to do it, and are writing ebooks about it. It's a hot topic, and has been for 18 months or so.
Yeah, have to remember though, not everyone wants to read. So I'm then recycling my storytelling into my VZ. And you could.
It's the same thing though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a written story.
No, absolutely. Because not everyone likes to read. That's a sad fact nowadays. What about you then?
I'm going for laughter this week, because I remember confessing to you before Christmas how much I liked to make people laugh. And then I realised over the Christmas holidays how much I enjoyed laughing. And the news quiz is back on Radio 4 on Fridays at 6:30, which is Laugh Out Loud. And my two favourite things I watched on iPlayer over the Christmas holidays were Ramesh Ranganathan live stand-up for an hour. And I hadn't seen him in stand-up before. I've seen him on quiz shows, and he was refreshing in his stand-up. And then I watched Michael McIntyre's Happy and Glorious, but I think I'd seen that before a year earlier and just didn't remember, and the jokes were still funny. But laughing out loud, it's one of my. I think I've ended up with a list of 6 things I want for 2018, and laughter's on it, because it's so good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, and I watched that Real Marigold Hotel we talked about last week, and a lot of the times when you go to other countries, they actually have, or Japan, I think it's particularly, they go and actually have laughing workshops, and as soon as someone laughs whose laugh you find funny, you can't help laughing yourself. I
know, we used to do that at boarding school, and there's a movement in the, well, I'll teach you that in a minute, but there's a movement in the UK, and I'm sure it's not just in the UK, but various clients who either run or attend laughter yoga, which I don't think involves any yoga at all. It just involves laughing.
Yes, but I suppose it just gets the point across that it's something you do regularly.
Yeah, but also it does move the body slightly, doesn't it? If you think about it, because you've got to sort of taking in air, and your shoulders are going. I'm not saying it's exercise. I'm saying it is a form of small amounts of yoga, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at boarding school, what we used to do is lie on the bed flat with your head dangling across rather than the way you sleep. with your head dangling over the edge, and then one of us would go, and the other one would go, and the other one would go, and honestly, quite quickly, you're just laughing. You're in hysterical laughter, and you feel better after that. Tomorrow, I'm going to have lunch with my older school friend in a pub in Surrey. I've known her since 1966, and I'm sure laughter will be a big part of the day, and not just in memories, but in our lives now, although our lives now are much more serious, actually. And that's why laughter is my word of the week and my goal for the year, is because I don't want my life to be much more serious.
No, we don't. We want lightness and fun, don't we? So, project updates.
You go first, because Oh, did you say you haven't got anything, or you have got something?
No, I had a quick look at our Own It stats before I came on. I'm perfectly 100% prepared for today's show, even if I got the times muddled up. And we had two gratifying spikes after we released last week's episode. So that's rather nice. So, normally we're getting 100 downloads a day, but they spiked to over 200, 250. So that was nice. We're welcomed back, apparently.
Good. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. And the only thing on my own projects is that I've decided I'm going to create a webinar to sell my membership site, because I think my sales page is doing an okay job, but I think a webinar might work, and I'll split test the two to see what's happening.
Okay.
What about yourself?
I'm just looking up something very quickly, because I prepared this yesterday and I thought, oh yes, perfect. So I'm going to give you my book numbers. I've sold 6 print on demand at Amazon in January, and when I wrote these notes yesterday it was 4, so overnight there've been an extra 2. I'm going for 100 Amazon reviews as well, and I've got 12 already. I've got 2 in America and 10 in the UK, and total sales of the book now are 62 as of this morning.
Oh, well, you've got a review to come from me, but I've only read half, so...
No, it's fine. I'm not in a rush, but I want that 100 number of reviews because it seems to make a difference. And I do actually love logging into Create Space and seeing how many units have been sold, even though I only make half as much money on there as I do on sales. But even so,
no, it's all abundant, though, isn't it? When you wake up in the morning and you've sold 2 of anything, it doesn't matter what the price is. It makes you feel really abundant.
Well, I think the important thing is to remember that what you measure increases. So this is very much part of my Creating the Impossible and moving into a writer. It's one of about a dozen jobs I've given myself, which is you keep asking for the reviews, you keep measuring the sales, measure the things you want to see more of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know that works. Good. Who or what's impressed? I've
got one. I think you'll like mine, though. Shall I go first?
Go then.
I've got a Google Chrome extension called Invite to Like. It's the first one I've ever paid for. It wasn't very much money. It was something like, I don't know, £8 or $8. And a small one-off fee. And basically you open up your Facebook page and you crank up Invite to Like, and it automatically invites everybody to like who's commented or reacted or engaged in any way to like your page. So you don't have to do that manually anymore.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that afterwards. Very good. Mine are not technologically orientated. So
my word.
I know. I watched 2 amazing things on YouTube. One was Oprah's acceptance speech for Cecil B. Milled Award.
Yeah, Golden Globes. Yeah.
Absolutely had me in tears by the end of it, sobbing like a baby. Very inspirational. And the other one was Tracy Ellis Ross, who is... it was going about, it's a Glamour magazine video, and she's actually Diana Ross's daughter, apparently, and she's an actress, and she's in a big television program in America because she's I gather this from something she said. But the whole conversation was about being 45 and childless, and how people judge you by it, they bang on about it, they make you feel inferior by it. And then that turned into a massive diatribe about sexism, and it was absolutely fantastic. It had the women in the audience standing on their chairs by the end of it, and it was just so... I sent it on to Phoebe and Chloe straight away because I think it's so important. I mean, really, women just need to be aware of this stuff and keep reminding themselves of this stuff. And you would love it too, Judith. So go.
No, I've seen it because you tagged me in the same post.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to the end, but I thought she was great.
Yeah.
And I loved Oprah as well.
It just got better and better, that Tracy Ellis Ross thing.
Yes, I will link to it in the show notes because female listeners definitely, even men listeners actually, I think would enjoy it.
Yeah, because I mean, Oprah was much more humanist, I think. Tracy was more feminist, but I enjoyed both of them enormously. And of course, the big news for me this week is The Voice is back. I absolutely sobbed with happiness through the first episode. It was so good. And the quality of the singing on that first episode. And they started off really strong. It carried on really strong. And then, they were rejecting people that I thought really should have gone through. And then the last one was a little boy of 16 who was an absolute monster superstar in the making. So thoroughly enjoyed The Voice. Episode 1, highly recommend it.
But from your Facebook post, I saw they didn't pick him.
No, they did pick the little one.
Oh, I thought you said they let the last one slip through the net.
No, they let a brilliant one slip through the net.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Will I Am was all over this 16-year-old kid.
Okay. And how is Ollie? He's a new judge, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's quite confident. Everyone seems to like him. He's, Tom seems to have got less decisive with 6 months gone by.
Yeah, that'll be Alzheimer's cracking in. The man is 111, isn't he?
He's about 111. I don't think so. But no, he is looking less decisive. That's the only downside.
But the Welsh people like to be judged, like him to be their judge, don't they? Like be picked by him. I mean,
and a young person chosen this week as well, which was a bit startling because I would have thought she'd have gone with one of the others.
I never got. I mean, I'm partly Welsh, a pretender to be Welsh with a name like Morgan, and Tom Jones was thought to be great in my family, but I, age 62, would not want him as my mentor if I could have Will I Am.
I know, and
with them.
He's just so good. And as funny as ever. So watch that, have a lovely time, and we'll see you next week, everyone.
Okay. All right, babe. See ya. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com. And you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.